All right, all my little YouTube motherfuck faces. You're watching Validation Boy live stream, February 22nd, 2021. Now, some of you might be starting to resent me for the subject I've been covering for the last 5 months. But if you possess any kind of wisdom at all, you understand that this is truly the big one when it comes to the arena of conspiracy theory. All conspiracies boil down to this one undeniable truth. All of our problems hinge upon this one all-important reality. There's nothing more important than our submission to the will of God. There's nothing that deserves our attention more than appreciation for the gift of life which our Father has granted us. And there's nothing more urgently in need of our care than the future of adamic existence itself. Otherwise, God would never have created the Adam in his image in order to glorify his infinite perfection. All of our blessings come directly from God, and they all come straight through his bloodline, the Adamic people. Without the perpetuation of our race, there is no future. We are the sole conduit through which all things good are meant to manifest. And this is why I am beating this message into your heads, and it is why I will continue beating this message into your heads for a long time to come. All praise to our Holy Father. And may we humble ourselves before his never-ending grace and glory. Now, before we get started, I'm going to give a shout out to the first 5 in the live. In at number 1, not C. In at number 2, Barbara McGill. In at number 3, Andres. In at number 4, Big Mac Miller Lite. And in at number 5, a naked guy, formerly Z-Rune. We've also been joined by YouTube and by Vlad's Edge of Reality and by Nathan Oakley, 1980. We've also been joined by OJ McBaggins, also known as OJ McBaggins. And I'm glad to have all of you here. Let's talk about the great inversion. The Adamic race is the actual POC. We are the actual minority in the world. Try asking Google how many Adamic people there are currently in the world, and you'll never be able to find a straight answer. Right? NASA, never a straight answer. They've literally made it impossible for you to find out this information. All they do is smokescreen you with a bunch of deflections and Wikipedia entries that never give you any of the information you're actually looking for. I challenge anyone out there to actually find these numbers. You won't. So once again, one of the most important and relevant truths of all is being suppressed. And who do you think would be behind such evils? Maybe the children of the fallen one? Maybe the seed of Satan, which God warned Eve of in the garden? That seed which our Father told her will have eternal enmity with our own seed? Yeah. And I know haters are going to say, oh, VB, these so-called superficial differences don't matter. But that's got to be the most ignorant thing you could ever believe. These differences are far more than just superficial. Anyone who's ever had to deal with the non-Adamics should know this. And they should understand that they need to start being honest with themselves. I don't know what kind of bubble some of you self-hating white cucks out here are living in, but you need to stop lying to yourselves. Okay, of course, there do exist the possibility of exceptions to rules, but majorities and stereotypes exist for a reason, and a damn good reason at that. You need to put aside the Hollywood romanticized image you have in your mind of the non-Adamics, because it's not reality. You, my Adamic brethren, you, my Adamic sisters, are being forced to fester in this J-created melting pot at gunpoint. You're simply no longer allowed to take very many actions in order to prevent the seed of Cain and the non-Adamics from infiltrating all the key aspects of your life anymore. Nope, not without the threat of government-sanctioned violence against you. You're now expected to submit to the acceptance of these demonic entities. This authoritarian injustice will always be hanging over your head for the rest of your pathetic lives. And you are the ones that let this happen. I'm guilty of it too. We let this happen. The real mud flood is in place for a very specific reason. Grand-scale reduction of human IQ, which only serves to make the sludge that remains after this slow genocide takes place much easier to control. The only systemic racism which truly exists in the West is anti-Adamic racism. You, God's children, are the only ones that any of this satanic government's rules apply to. And all these truther channels out here are just wasting their own time and wasting the time of their listeners, paving a road to hell with their good intentions. It's becoming more and more apparent to me as time goes on that any of the so-called truthers who oppose God's truth, as stated clearly in the Bible, are merely the victims of gynocentric feminism. And they aren't even able to recognize this fact. The inclusivity that they've been trained to adhere to could not be any more obviously weaponized propaganda from the seed of Satan, the Jays. We need to stop being cowards, and we need to get a clue. What I'm preaching to you is not a message of hatred, okay? It's a message of love for those of us who are the only ones which deserve to be told this message. God has been telling you this message since day one, and yet you still choose to rebel against his crystal clear truth. And honestly, you should be ashamed of yourselves for this. This clearly fake beer pandemic we are enduring, it's divided the races more than ever before. And this is, of course, the ploy of the one world anti-white Jays. But this is in reality a true blessing, if you think about it. You see, it's a very complex thing to grasp, but your controllers were hoping that such cultural self-segregation would give them the opportunity to tighten their grip on the non-Adamics, a grip that they've always traditionally had, at least since the inception of the American illusion. But then the hashtag walk away thing caught momentum, and a certain lives matter more than others faction has been exposed as the utter racial supremacism that it is. So the obvious reaction of the masses to such fuckery is then, as it is to be expected, a massive movement towards impure intermingling. And that impure intermingling is so integral to the genetic putrefaction of the river of life discussed in Revelation 22. And it's all done in the name of so-called love and unity. And all it really results in is another huge win for the globalist, anti-Adamic proponents of the K plan. And people say, oh, VB, what does it matter? Just go along to get along. And that's where the fucking problem lies. God's children, the Adamic people, are being demoralized and exterminated in the name of this communist antichrist globalization. Why else do you think the public indoctrination camps are being crushed under the thumb of anti-male, anti-Adamic bigots? Why else are you being forced to wear a muzzle when you're in public? And it can easily be argued that the main culprit, or at least the most effective culprit in all of this, is hip-hop culture. Now, yes, I know it looks like my channel is taking this dark turn and I'm now too focused in on my opposition to the non-Adamics, but no. I'm not opposed to their existence. I'm opposed to the culture that the Jays have poisoned them with. And that culture is now thoroughly permeated into the everyday lives of God's Adamic people as well. And that is why we need to be extremely wary of the fakeness of hip-hop culture. I can't tell you how many NPC Adamic women, okay, I hate to lump them in, but they're becoming NPCs that I deliver to on a daily basis, all right? They're just sitting in their pajamas, no car out front, no job, just being rewarded by gynocentrically parasiting off the government and off the sweat, blood, and tears of the Adamic men, and having multitudes of unbathed half-atoms running around all around them, screaming and breaking shit, while plumes of illegal fucking substance smoke pours out of their front door when they answer the door. Just right there, amidst their little piglets, giving them the fucking contact high so that they can talk to their own POS fucking piece of shit mothers on the phone about absolutely nothing of relevance for hours at a time. That's right, they get their little fucking half-atoms all high on the contact high so they can sit there and blab on the phone with their own piece of shit mothers for no good reason, while they just parasite. Now these antichrist land whales are becoming a fucking stereotype caricature. A stereotype caricature, and their numbers are growing at an exponential rate. Yet, people wonder why our civilization is collapsing all around us and becoming the communist hellhole that it is. The Jays really have achieved some seriously evil fucking ends against the body of Christ. And unless we stand up and take some sort of action, there is no future for God's sanctified and most favored group on this earth. You know, how much longer can we sit back and let this destruction befall our holy temple, our body of Christ? How much longer will we reward this desecration of our sacred and divine bloodline? There is such a grand scale satanic agenda at play here, and even most so-called Christian truthers you'll find on YouTube are totally cucked and deceived by it. For example, look at Hans. He's obviously been watching my content, okay? Obviously. He's out here spewing the most ridiculously false and retarded misinterpretations of Revelation 22 that I've ever heard anyone try to. And it's all in reaction to the truth missiles I've been nailing his demonic ass with, okay? He's a completely satanic piece of shit. All he does these days is sit around and spew churchianity-esque false doctrines. He is a complete antichrist. And it's all because of the half-atoms he formed with the beast of the field that he married when he was in a state of alcoholic depression. And the real message that God gave us puts him in a very, very bad place when the day of his judgment comes. But he's too full of pride and arrogance to admit that he knows this truth. He knows it for a fact. And that's why he spews off his lies. He has desecrated the body of Christ. He has desecrated the kingdom of heaven on earth. He has fully partaken in the K-plan, the same ancient K-plan that dates back to Israel's return from Babylon. Yet, his popularity never stops growing. And this absolutely proves how wide the path is for the wicked. He even advocates for the rapture, a viciously contrived false doctrine, for which I'll provide some links below. Now, the real truth's it's not pleasant. That's why my channel is so unpopular, okay? My production values exceed most other truther channels, real authentic truther channels. Yet very few people are finding my content. Meanwhile, we have full-blown antichrists like the Flat Earth Brothers and Daphne Rimmel and Hans and Dave J and John Levi, who get promoted heavily by the so-called algorithm. But once again, wide is the path. It's not even about me at all. I don't even like showing my face anymore because the message is about the kingdom of heaven on earth at this point. That's the message that needs to be heard because that is the only battle that God's children need to be fighting. We're in the midst of a holy war, and the Jays are going out of their way to make sure this message is not heard by the very people who need to be hearing it. And when you really think about it, I'm not even sure that there is such a thing as the algorithm when it comes to the suppression of real truth channels. I'm pretty sure that there's just some seed of Cain piece of shit sitting behind a desk at YouTube headquarters, manually throttling very specific channels, a very specific list of channels. Now, the bloodline of Satan has fully committed to the extermination of the real Israel. They're real. They exist. They are the synagogue of the fallen one. They control all pop culture and all law in the Adamic world. And they'll stop at nothing to make you forfeit your birthright to the kingdom of heaven, which God gave us. The question is, are you going to keep adopting their cultural atrocities into your way of life, into your systems of belief? I got to give a shout out to Stargods for recommending my channel and bringing a bunch of new viewers to me. Every time he shouts me out, a bunch of new people show up. God's blessings to him, and thank you. He's doing God's work by promoting my channel. And also, Daniel Pratt recommended a channel called Horizontal Horizons. It's a very, very small channel. I'll link that below too. You guys need to go check that out. He mirrored a video by someone talking about, our Mother Earth and all this, and I called him out. I said, hey man, you need to stop with this Mother Earth nonsense, because what you're doing is placing this so-called divine feminine on a idolic pedestal. And he said, no, I know. I've listened to you before, VB. I know what you're talking about, but I just mirrored this video. I said, okay, well, I'll give you a shout out anyways. God's blessings to you. And I found another funny channel that some of you guys might want to check out. It's definitely not for everybody, but it's a channel called Casual Bachelor. It's just one of these MGTOW channels. And he's really more of a MGTOW monk. And what he does is he finds this endless stream of so-called dating experts. But every single one of them is a single mother in her late 30s who is running around trying to tell women coaching advice for how to get a man, and every single thing that they say is immediately contradicted by their own words within like 30 seconds of them saying it. And it's hilarious. And this guy just finds an endless stream of these videos and just makes commentary in rebuttal to the nonsense that they're saying. Okay. And the thing is, the reason that this gynocentric feminism has taken such hold in our culture, it's there for a reason. Because the true divine order, the true hierarchy is this. Number one, God / Jesus. So number two, Jesus, however you want to interpret that. Of course, Jesus Christ is God in the flesh, and he came here to redeem his children. So number one, God, Jesus. Number two, the Adamic man. Number three, the Adamic woman. Number four, the Adamic offspring. Number five, everybody else. And if the Jays can convince our women to hold themselves above the men, that inverts God's hierarchy, God's hierarchical order. And that's why feminism has taken such a strong hold in the West. It's all because of the seed of Satan. It's all the seed of Cain and their agenda to exterminate God's bloodline. Who are the seed of Satan? The Jays only, or the Philistines also? Asks Paul T.W. Well, as far as I understand, there were pre-Adamic people here before the Adam were created, before Adam and Eve were created. And that's why when Cain was exiled from the Garden of Eden, he found wives and worried about people killing him in the fields, which is why God put a mark upon him. So where did these people come from? They were here before the Adam. Now, these people that were here before the Adam, not all of them were infected by the seed of Satan, but Satan's fallen angels, Satan himself, did manage to interbreed with many of these people, many of these family trees that were in the Garden of Eden. Out of these family trees, Cain intermingled with them, and those people became the Jays. So all Jays are part of the seed of Satan, but not all of the seed of Satan are exclusively Jays, if that makes sense. Simon says that lakes are puddles left after the flood. That could be a possibility, but I don't think the flood happened worldwide. I think it was in a specific area. Paul Gould says, what do you think rocks are? Cave systems are anatomically correct. I mean, I've heard people talk about how mountains are actually huge giants that fell and became petrified. It's an interesting theory, but I'm not exactly sure how biblical it is. I have to do a lot more research. There's a possibility that it is actually biblical. Vlad's Edge of Reality says, my lady and I watched a show called The History of Feminism. She was pissed, thought it was stupid garbage. My lady is awesome. Yeah, your lady is pretty awesome, bro. We've been joined by Cigar Face. He says, happy face. Paul Gould says, the continents are a whale. The head of a whale is Africa. The tail of the whale is South America. Nathan Oakley, 1980, has joined us. He says, who wants to kiss my ring? Which ring are we talking about, Nathan? That's perverted. YouTube says, everything is cucked. Yeah, America herself is a cucked bitch, like I said in a previous live stream. Taking the abuse from a beast, from a savage husband who does not have her best interest at heart. YouTube says, there was a good old days to Flat Earth that's gone forever. Yeah, there's only a small handful of channels that are putting out any good Flat Earth content anymore. The main one, of course, is Daniel Pratt. The second one I would say is Taboo Conspiracy. Other than that, you're hard pressed to find any truly authentic, good Flat Earth channels. YouTube said that stream where Jed, Lori Gale, and Barbara McGill were all drunk was one of the best streams ever. It was years ago. Is he still on about golden vaginas? It's gold-plated vaginas, Nathan. Okay. I saw a funny movie called The Odds, and it's like a weird horror movie where there's a guy and a girl in a room and they're playing some game where the woman is trying to win $1 million in an underground Saw-esque torture type thing. I don't know. It was stupid. But the guy throws out this whole thing about, oh, you think your vagina is plated in gold. It's funny. The movie's from like 2018. It just shows that feminism is and the MGTOW and all that stuff is taking hold in society. You know, MGTOW itself is not inherently a great thing, but what it does provide is men a potential to understand their place above women as appointed by God, you know. It does help with that. Raiden Digital says, they blatantly screwed me in the drive just through now. Damn it. By they, you mean non-adamics? I bet so. I bet so. YouTube says, I like VB stuff, but not the Bible stuff. Oh, tough shit, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Oh, man. Pony M, a fake channel. And Pony M is a reference to My Little Pony, which is like this weird, perverted fetish thing that a lot of millennial males are getting into, which is very, very sick and perverted. And I don't know why there's a channel called Pony M. I tried to look them up, but I don't know why you go by that name. It's really weird. I don't know if I should accept you, even though you say you 100% agree with Validation Boy. You stayed up late to listen to me live, 3 o'clock in the morning. Greetings from Amsterdam, Europe. Well, if you are a real person, God's blessings to you. I just don't understand what's with the My Little Pony reference. Not C says he's never worn a mask. He's been kicked out of stores because he refuses to wear one. Nathan Oakley says he's pretty sure VB is curved water. You know, Nathan, you know that's not true. Because of that time, I was on your show, Flat Earth Debate number 45, where I trashed curved water live. We live in the firmament dome underwater, says Paul Gould. YouTube says that time VB wrecked Mark Taylor and Curved Water in one sitting. Yeah, that was actually that show. Flat Earth Debate number 45. Paul TW says Second Amendment is the answer. YouTube says that's the magic of VB. He doesn't say one word of nonsense. That's why his streams are short. Well, I got my message out in the beginning of this. That took about, 15, 16 minutes. And it took me several days to create and arrange in just the right order. And now we're on to the nonsense portion of my show. Paul Gold is bringing some interesting theories over here. I can't advocate for them per se, but it's interesting to think about. He's going symbolic with this. And he says, Jesus says, like for like, as Jonah was in the belly of a whale, so was Jesus Christ. The head of the whale is Africa. The tail of the whale is South America. The petrified remains of the flood bodies. That's an interesting angle. It's an interesting angle. Let's go down to the bottom. I'm sorry to not give you guys as much as you want, but that's why I got to beat this same message into your head. It's just crazy that I got 37 people watching me right now and never had this many before. And it's truly a blessing because you guys are hearing the words of God come through me as I've been blessed enough to understand them. Big Mac Miller Light says, VB, sup, homie. Thank you so much, Big Mac Miller Light. Eternal Echo says, no one notices the good days until they become the good old days. Yep, isn't it true? All right, guys. Now that I know that... Oh, we've been joined by, obviously, Sarah says, share some stories of the non-Adamic, torturing the Adamic, VB. I mean, I've done so much of that. But next time I'll get some real good stuff together. We've been joined by Schlomminger as well. And we've been joined by Eternal Echoes. So next time I go live, I'll put a little bit more effort into it just for you guys. It's been a true blessing to have you guys on here. Now, as you see at the bottom, if you feel like leaving a tip or a donation on my Venmo, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Times are hard for the Adamic. All of your tips and donations are a true blessing to me, and I appreciate them very much. If not, it's okay. No big deal. God has my back. I'll go live again very soon, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Validation Boy live stream, February 22nd, 2021.